Hello, today we visit r/AskReddit to see, instead of a dark one, what wholesome secret are you hiding? Make sure to comment any wholesome secrets you may have. With that, sit back and enjoy. Every time my grandmother gave me money or paid me for doing her a favor, I always slipped the money back into her purse or hid it in her house when she wasn't paying attention. Sometimes when I had no choice but to leave with it, I'd trade it for smaller bills and hide it next time I visited. She never knew. There were a lot of times we'd be talking over the phone or something and she'd get excited because she found monies. It's nothing special, but it's something that makes me happy. And I know she's happy giving money when she can, so it's a win-win. Y'all better not tell her either. I used to go on walks with my grandma and she absolutely loved finding money in the street, so my cousin and I would walk ahead of her and casually drop coins. She would ooh and ah, and exclaim about how it was her lucky day, and can you believe that she found 71 cents on this walk? In retrospect, she definitely knew that it was us, but we were happy because grandma was happy, and she was happy because we were. The next day she would pay us 2 cents per snail to remove snails from her pear tree, and we would do it all again. Another grandmother story: I lived with my granny for several years after a major wipeout in my life. When I made or got her food, I always got 3 times what she would eat. She was tiny because I knew she split her food with her 2 dogs. At the grocery store, I'd walk ahead and pay for her cart, or carefully slip things from her cart to mine. We had a running joke about penny pinching. She pinched until they squealed. After she passed, for 2 years, I found pennies in odd places. Like I'd wake up and a penny would be underneath me. I still have those pennies in a dish, in her honor. I'd lost my phone and my 5-year-old niece was helping me look for it, and she was really bummed out that she couldn't find it. I eventually found it and put it where she would find it. Seeing her run up to me with it, all smiles and everything, was so cute. I do that with my 3-year-old all the time. I pretend I've lost my water bottle or something and he goes on a hunt and is so proud of himself when he finds it on the bench or something. Kids are the best. I pretended to get extra groceries delivered that I didn't order so my friends, who were short on money, would take it and not feel guilty. You're like the biggest homie ever, I swear to God. That's an amazing idea. With food prices skyrocketing, one of my friends has really been hurting. She won't accept help, but if I come to her with, I don't know why I got 4 of these, I need to stop shopping when I'm high, maybe that'll work. That's very, very sweet of you to do. Alright, this is me talking. What is STG? I think it is swear to God, and I couldn't find anything else, so I am running with it. Let me know if I am right down below. Enough of me talking, back to the video. Where I live, there is a place called the Blessing Box. It's a cabinet where people can drop off canned and dry goods to help feed other families. Wife and I hit some hard times financially and had to rely on the Blessing Box to feed ourselves. Made a promise to myself that if I ever came into some extra cash, I would return the blessing. Later on, I scored a well-paying temp job and was able to catch up on a lot of bills right before Thanksgiving. Remembering the promise I made, I used my next paycheck to fill the Blessing Box to the brim with a variety of canned goods. Everything a family would need for the holiday. A few days later, the Blessing Box was featured on the local news and how an unknown donor provided enough food to feed over a dozen low-income families for the holiday. Wife and I have never told a soul that it was us. Duck, you just made me cry. It's wonderful to have a reminder of how kind people can be to others. In 6th grade, I anonymously nominated one of my teachers for a Recognition of Excellence award. It was 2001. Over the course of roughly 2 months, 9/11 happened, my 17-year-old cousin passed away, and my grandmother died on Halloween. She was such a creative and passionate teacher. She brought a group of awkward, about 11 years olds, together where everyone not only participated, but did so enthusiastically. I never felt so bonded to and accepted by a group of my peers, and it was all due to her. I later found out she had been battling cancer. The next semester in the spring, she announced she had become aware of the nomination and said thank you to whoever in the class who submitted it in a way that just showed gratitude and left it open-ended to claim without pressure. She must have known it was me from certain details in my nomination letter. She sent me a thank you card at the end of the school year. In fall of 2002, I went to go visit her after summer break and found out her health had declined to the point she had resigned from teaching. She passed within a year. I never told anyone I nominated her and am so glad she knew I did. I think about her all the time. I got a girl in my class, who was my friend, a Valentine's card who never got any attention from guys. I never liked her in that way but wanted her to be happy. No joke, she seemed to develop more confidence from that day, and got a boyfriend a year later, then got married a bit after that and is really happy. I even heard her talking about it one day in a group setting and how happy it made her, and I had to stay really quiet because I wanted it to stay special for her. Anytime either of my kids has a school field trip, I anonymously pay for a student that wouldn't otherwise go due to financial reasons. I was always that kid, sitting in a strange class because my class was off doing something else. It sucked. This needs to be upvoted more. It's awesome of you to do that, and it does suck having to sit in a class knowing that everyone else there knows why you're not on the field trip. Some heroes don't wear capes. I did that too. I encouraged the teacher to put something on the announcement of the trip, where extra funds to pay for another student are always welcome, might be added, but no teacher ever put that on there. I felt like many more affluent parents would gladly have doubled their fee to help another third grader, or whatever, but just had not thought of it. I also used the leftover lunch money on our account each year to pay off late, behind payments for other students. My stepmother doesn't know she's going to spend the rest of her life living with my family because I feel a sense of duty to her. My dad wasn't the best to her, and he drank himself to death immediately after a quadruple bypass. She never got to have kids because he had a vasectomy after I was born, and the reversal didn't work. The life insurance policy I guilted my dad into getting was only $50,000, and it's gone. My brother completely rejected her as a mother. She's so happy when she's with my kids. And a disappointing life has taken its toll on her. I want her final years to be easy and happy, to feel like she has a family that is not ruled by alcohol. My grandmother's last husband is now our immediate family because he doesn't have anyone and begged us not to abandon him after her death. She was a raging alcoholic most of their marriage, which often left him feeling lost and abandoned by his own circle of people. We didn't. Instead, he's been skydiving twice, traveled to Playa del Carmen, Pensacola Beach, and Boston with us. This is all in the last year. He will be 90 in January. We will never abandon him. She's probably so happy to have you. Okay, this is a fun one and fits nicely with the upcoming holiday, and I've been dying to share it. So my parents live on about an acre of land and they've been paying me to mow it every couple of weeks with this old, busted up push mower. It's about 4 hours of work and it sucks. So, of course my dad has always wanted a rider mower, and this year my mom decided to get him one. She found a seemingly great deal on Marketplace, but she feared that her lack of knowledge about mowers might cause her to spend a decent amount on something that could be crap, so she needed an expert. So who does she take? My dad. So, of course, she needs an excuse. So she tells him that her best friend is looking at getting this mower. She has a small farm outside of town and works with my mom at a local school, so it all checks out. So my dad agrees and goes to look over this mower, which, unbeknownst to him, is his Christmas present. It gets better. They go to look at the mower. He says it's pretty good and actually manages to talk the guy down in price, saying, "Hey, my wife's friend is working off a teacher's salary and has a pretty big property she takes care of." Quote. So the seller cuts $200 off the price and they load it into my dad's truck. Then, my mom has to come up with an excuse to keep him from just taking it over to her friend's house. So she tells him her garage is full and if they could just hold onto it for a couple of weeks until she has time to clear out a space for it. So they take it home, and since he uses his truck for work, starts unloading it. Mom goes inside. An hour goes by. She's not sure where dad is. She goes outside to find him riding around in it, testing it. I went over the other day and there sits the mower, tarped up and awaiting Christmas Day. Needless to say, I'm more excited to see him react to it than I am about anything I might get this year. Plus, it's a present for me as well, since I never have to mow their lawn again, or at least not with a push mower. We did this to my dad a few years ago with a smoker grill. It was supposed to arrive a week before Christmas and we couldn't wait to surprise him. Day before Thanksgiving rolls around, and my dad answers the phone about a delivery to the auto shop down the road. Our road wasn't big enough for the delivery truck, so the shop let us deliver it there. He is really confused because as far as he knew we didn't order anything. So he told my mom the phone was for her. Not only did the smoker come early, it was a whole month early. So my dad and brother went and got it, spent all day putting it together, and dad ended up smoking the Thanksgiving turkey on it. I still think that is the only time we have ever been able to actually surprise him with a present. He is usually the one surprising us, so it was totally worth it to see the confusion and happiness on his face. I often forget basic things, so my parents still feel like I need them in a small way. They are just becoming empty nesters, and I can tell it was hard on them. Every so often I'll call Ma and ask for something silly like a recipe or who to call for an appointment, same with my old man. I call often about car questions and things like that. I don't ever want them to feel like they are without value simply because we moved on with our lives. As the parent of two 20-somethings, I can tell you this is a wonderful kindness you do for your parents. Obviously, we want our kids to be overall self-sufficient, productive members of society, but the transition from decades full focus on your kids to an empty nest can be difficult, and no one really prepares you for it. A few years back we were having a very stressful time, moved out of state, old house broken into 2 days after we left, everything taken, the toilet upstairs was ripped out, flooded the upstairs, ceiling caved in, flooded downstairs, completely totaled the house. So, I thought of fun things to do for Christmas. We always loved IRN brew at Scottish games, and so I put a bottle of IRN brew into each of the kids' stockings, with some other things. It was so much fun, they have looked forward to it every year. Over dinner the other night, the kids were talking about how excited they are to get their one bottle of IRN brew this Christmas. And I nonchalantly told them that there was an IRN brew shortage in Scotland this year, due to the economy and global inflation, and it might be tough to get some. Wild panic ensued. I bought a case of IRN brew back in August and it's in my closet. And there is no IRN brew shortage. Fake news. I still have the ticket stub from my first date with my wife. She was 18, I was 20. I had a feeling, so I saved it. I'm usually not that type of person. Been together for 17 years and married for 12. Can't wait to frame it and give it to her on our 25th anniversary. My sister and I have birthdays extremely close together. Hers on the 28th of one month, mine in the 27th of the month after. It makes it a bit confusing for people, and often they'll get the month correct but the day wrong. We never make a big deal of it. My grandma calls the day after my birthday every year. Always with, "Happy birthday, love." I didn't forget, and we'll talk about my plans, what I hope to get from others, what I think my boyfriend got me. I will never tell her that my birthday was the day before. I had recently moved into my own apartment in Manhattan after graduating and getting a very nice job on Wall Street. Every Friday everyone would go dashing to the bars for happy hour, but I'd respectfully always decline. I was a volunteer at a hospice home where I'd read, feed or just spend time with the residents there. I had been volunteering there for about 2 years and sadly saw more than a few of the folks I was close to pass away. I still think of the people there, though they all must have left our world already since this was a long time ago. I'm certain we'll all meet again one day. I buy hundreds of pounds of birdseed every year and keep all the bird feeders in the windows of the residence rooms of our nursing home full. They all love watching the birds and think the facility provides it. In 2018 to 2019. This was during my college years because I remember I only hung out with a friend while I was in my last few years of education. We were walking through our town center, going to get the bus back home. I tend to get distracted and always end up just watching the area around me, to which I notice a man had dropped a few notes which he dropped from his pocket when grabbing his phone. It didn't help the fact that he seemed stressed and panicked while speed walking along. I decide the best thing to do was to grab it and return it to him, because if I didn't do anything then the worst outcome would be that he'd not get it back. I quickly grabbed the money before anyone else and ran over to the guy. I realized he needed it a lot, because he bursted into tears and quickly hugged me as thanks. I've never told anyone about that situation. Only the friend I was with knows, and I never thought it to be important to share with anyone. That's the closest I have to a wholesome secret. Thank you for watching all the way until the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment any wholesome secrets you may have. Click the video above if you want to continue to watch my content. Until next time.